Two doorways lead from the family salon to the grand salon. The grand salon was used for prestigious social events. Here, the Minister of State and of the imperial household and his wife, Madame Foult, invite Madame la Comtesse Rodolphe d'Ornano to an evening in costume or in domino at which there will be dancing. Here, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and his wife, Countess Walewska, invite the same Countess d'Ornano to a similar event. Aline Elisabeth de Voyer de Paulmy d'Argenson, daughter of the 5th Marquis d'Argenson, was now the widow of Count Rodolphe d'Ornano. He was the son of Marie Walewska by her marriage to Philippe Antoine d'Ornano. He had therefore been a half-brother of Count Alexandre Colonna-Walewski, reputedly the son of Napoleon I. One of Count d'Ornano's great-great-grandfathers was Napoleon Bonaparte, 1717 to 1767, great-uncle of the Emperor Napoleon I. Those who frequented such gatherings in the Grand Salon were, like Countess d'Ornano, a mixture of ancient and modern nobility. If the ghosts of some of these elegantly costumed ladies and gentlemen had returned in 2012, how shocked and disgusted they would have been to see pigs in the Grand Salon. Some of Wim Delvoye's 30 creations displayed in the Louvre Museum. Here is a print of one of Count Walewski's ballroom scenes on the 11th of February 1861. At this ball, or some other similar one, he provided the spectacle of a Polish skating dance. The large opening between the Grand Salon and the Square Salon was sometimes used as a proscenium arch when the Square Salon was used as a stage for dramatic performances. Seating for an audience of 265 in the Grand Salon was arranged in a stepped semicircle of 11 rows, according to Le Fuel's sketches. Grand Salon is a large rectangular room 2 stories high. Entering through the door from the family salon, there is in this wall a door to the right and a window to the left. The long left-hand wall, the south wall, has 3 windows, the middle one a large arch. The long right-hand wall, the north wall, has a door each side of the archway leading to the Square Salon, otherwise known as the Theatre Salon. The wall opposite our entrance, the west wall, has a central fireplace with a mirror over it. To the left, a window, matching the one in the east wall through which we came. To the right of the fireplace is a door, matching the one on our right as we entered. This is very symmetrical. though perhaps the number of doors is as exaggerated as in the rest of the apartment. Where do these doors lead? The two doors behind us both lead to the family salon. The door to the right of the archway to the theatre salon also leads to that room. The door to the left of the archway on the north wall leads to a very small square room accessed also from the theatre salon. It is known as the corner boudoir or the terrace salon, and also offers access to the terrace. Its four walls have 3 doors and a window. But what of the door to the right of the fireplace on the west wall? It cannot lead anywhere. This is an outside wall. A look at the outside of this pavilion shows 3 windows at this level. The window on the left is the window of the boudoir. The larger middle window is a false window. On the inside, behind it, are a fireplace and a door. The windows on the level above are also false windows. Behind them is the coving of the grand salon. The fanciful dormer window at the top of the façade can light only the roof space, if it is truly a window. This is trompe-l'œil architecture, where the exterior does not match the interior. Each of this set of pairs of doors in the grand salon, false or not, is lavishly decorated and has a panel of gilded decoration above it, flush with the doors, included inside the gilded door frame. Outside this there is another gilded frame reaching to the cornice and matching the frames of the rectangular windows. Within this frame, and above the top of the inner frame, is a decorative painting, flush with the wall, separately framed with gilt ornamentation. White and gold pilasters, fluted and cabled, are further decorative features, rising to a gilded cornice. On the short walls, the central feature is flanked on each side by a single pilaster. On the long walls, the central feature is flanked on each side by a pair of pilasters. The space between each pair is decorated with a pendant decoration of golden foliage hanging from the mouth of a lion. This stucco decoration, like all those in this room, was designed by Louis-Alphonse Tranchant. There is also a pilaster in each corner of the room. These pilasters are concave, each one flattened against the 2 walls of the corner. 10 sconces adorn the walls as well. On the window wall there are 4 sconces, one on each side of the central window, and one between each pair of pilasters. On the other long wall, the north wall, there are 2 sconces, on each side of the archway, placed between the 2 pilasters. On the short walls, the 2 sconces are placed between the central feature and the single pilasters on each side. The sconces are a supplement to the lighting provided by chandeliers. A central chandelier, reputed to be the largest in Paris, is 3 meters in diameter and weighs 1 ton. The crystal is baccarat. Smaller chandeliers hang from each corner of the ceiling. In each corner of the room is a gilded torchère or candelabrum, a floor lamp with multiple candles. Each of the 4 walls has a central feature: the main doorway to the family's salon, the large arched window, the fireplace, the archway leading to the theatre salon. On the west side, above the double doors, a panel displays a gilded urn filled with foliage resting on a shield. On either side of it, from behind the shield and from pedestals, branches of foliage spread symmetrically. The door frame surrounds the doors and this panel. Above the door frame is a frieze of gilded ornaments between gilded volutes, which support a curved, broken pediment filled with foliage, from which rises a head crowned with golden spikes, perhaps rays. A head which represents France, victory, or some such symbolic or allegorical figure. In stucco, 4 naked cherubs support red and gold drapery over all. The topmost pair of cherubs carries a gilded ornament consisting of a trumpet and a flaming torch, crossed and surmounted by more foliage. 4 cherubs in various poses support similar but not identical draperies at the top of 3 of the 4 central features. The cherubs and draperies over the window arch are repeated over the door arch, facing it on the opposite wall. At the large arched central window on the south side of the room, the ample curtains are topped with an elaborate fringed pelmet. The 4 cherubs with their stucco drapery surmount the gilded frame of the arch. The topmost pair of cherubs presents between them an almost rococo gilded shield, the sides of which are leafy fronds which curve outwards, almost framing the cherubs' heads. The top of the shield sprouts more foliage. Its centre is smooth and rounded, bearing a garland of flowers. Beneath the shield, on a hanging fold of the stucco drapery, over a spray of laurel, a theatrical mask and a trumpet are crossed. It is not easy to see whether the mask represents comedy or tragedy. A repeat of this decoration appears on the opposite wall, above the matching curtains of the central archway. This is not symmetrical, but identical. On the south window wall, the mask is on the east side. On the north or door wall, the mask is on the west side. The Brescia marble fireplace on the fourth wall was designed, like the stucco, by Louis-Alphonse Tranchant. It was carved by René Langlois, who worked with marble elsewhere in the new Louvre, both inside and outside. He had also worked on the tomb of Napoleon I in the Invalides. The metalwork adorning the fireplace was cast by Antoine Aubin Durenne, 1822 to 1895, whose firm, founded in 1847, produced garden furniture such as urns, street furniture, railings, gates, balconies, even staircases and bridges. It also cast statues. The animal sculptures at the entrance to the garden of the Grand Rond in Toulouse, acquired by the city in 1865, the she-wolf and the mastiff, by Pierre-Louis Rouillard, were cast by Durenne, and are copies of two of Rouillard's animals in the Cour Le Fuel of the New Louvre. Those in Toulouse are not fountains. The memorial to Durenne, with his bust, is in the courtyard of what was the factory of Les Fonderies Durenne in Sommevoire, Haute-Marne, and is now the GHM factory, Générale d'Hydraulique et de Mécanique. Since the death of the founder, the firm has provided some of the entrances to the metro in Paris and, more recently, the tram systems of Lyon and Orléans. The metalwork of the fireplace was gilded by Charles Christophe, 1805 to 1863. His firm, founded in 1830, brought the process of silver plating and gilding by electrolysis to France in 1842. His family had been presented to the Emperor and Empress at the Universal Exhibition in Paris in 1855. Among the pieces displayed behind the huge vase in this painting is the galvanic and silver-plated bronze table centerpiece which Christophe was showing at the exhibition. It had been commissioned by the Emperor to go with the 4,000 pieces for 100 table settings for the Tuileries. The centerpiece has retained the appearance it had after being rescued from the ruins of the Tuileries after the fire of 1871. A street in Saint-Denis commemorates the name of Charles Christophe. Though no longer a family firm, it still flourishes under the same name. It is considered one of the world's best and most famous silversmiths, and had a revenue of over 51 million euros in 2017. Above the fireplace is a mirror, the arched top of which reaches the cornice. The large size of the mirror allows reflections of the adornments of the whole room, depending on the position of the viewer. The usual 4 cherubs deploy the stucco drapery above this. The 2 top cherubs carrying trumpets from which flags hang, a visual fanfare, support another gilded shield. The top corners of this shield curve inwards, while the centre of the top forms a pedestal carrying a replica of the imperial crown made for Napoleon III on the occasion of the Paris Universal Exhibition in 1855. This crown was subsequently sold off by the Third Republic. From behind the shield, the tops of two sceptres appear, as on the coat of arms of the Second Empire. To the left, the hand of justice, and to the right, the sceptre of Charles V. The hand of justice, an ancient emblem of royalty, had been remade for the coronation of Napoleon I in 1804. The Charles V sceptre, topped with a seated figure of Charlemagne, had been made for and donated to the Abbey of Saint-Denis by Charles in 1380. It had been in the Louvre Museum since 1793 and was restored for the coronation of Napoleon I. The face of the shield bears a large decorated and gilded initial N, surrounded by laurel branches. In the space behind the N and in front of the shield is a representation of the sword of Charlemagne, standing vertically, the pommel at the base of the shield. The sword of Charlemagne, named Joyeuse, has been associated with royal coronations in France since that of Philippe III in 1270. Parts of it are certainly medieval, but it has been repaired and restored more than once. Thus, while the workmanship of the fireplace calls attention to the skills of modern French industry, the intent of the upper decoration is to link the Second Empire with that of Napoleon I and with the traditions of royal dynasties of the past. The flat ceiling of this room contains a single painting. It is rectangular and measures 8.3 meters by 12.4 meters. It is entitled "Wisdom and Strength present to the imperial couple the grand designs which will constitute the glory of their reign." The painter was Charles Raphael Maréchal, 1825 to 1888. From the corners and centre of the painting the chandeliers hang. This oil sketch on paper was sold in 2022 for €5,000. It may be seen more clearly here that the painting represents the sky over a courtyard. The balustrade that marks the boundary between the real room and the fictional sky is painted in perspective, as if seen from below, as are the objects and figures in close proximity to it. The main view is painted as if to be viewed from the side. The painting is only comprehensible as seen from the side dominated by the archway to the theatre Salon, and then may be partially obscured by the central chandelier. From other angles, it makes no sense. The emperor and empress are seated on thrones on a cloud, below and to the left of the centre. Before them are female wisdom and male strength. Wisdom holds in one hand a presentation piece of a winged figure offering a platter. Beneath them, nymphs carry parts of the new Louvre and a plan. Above the imperial couple, nymphs, trumpeters, and cherubs, some carrying torches, present buildings, apparently including mosques, and carry a streamer on which will be inscribed the wonders and triumphs of the reign. Above the centre of the picture, a flying eagle carries 3 nymphs, one holding a trumpet, one gazing at a portrait, and the middle one holding aloft in one hand a crown or laurel wreath. One of Maréchal's sketches for a rejected ceiling painting shows a version much more dependent on trompe-l'œil. Between the gilded cornice and the gilded frame of the ceiling painting, the coving curves upwards. It is one of the most highly decorated parts of the room. Rising above each pilaster, all of which appear to support the cornice, are large stucco herms, standing out from the gilded pattern of the background and designed by Louis-Alphonse Tranchant. They are male and female figures, each emerging nude from the gilded drapery and flowers at the top of his or her pedestal. Both hold in one hand, at breast level, a musical instrument. The female holds a sistrum, and the bearded male holds panpipes. The other arm is extended upwards to touch a gilded basket of flowers balanced on the figure's head, the flowers overlapping the frame of the ceiling painting. There is one pair of herms at the shorter fireplace and main doorway sides of the room, and 2 pairs on the longer arch-centred sides. In the half of the room where the fireplace and mirror are, the western half, the female form is always the left-hand figure of the pair, and the adjacent inner arms of both figures are raised. In the half of the room where the main doorway is, the eastern half, the male is always the left-hand figure, and the outer arms are raised. Thus, the central archway on the long northern wall has 2 male herms next to each other, whose gestures are the same, while the central window on the long southern side has 2 female herms next to each other, with the same gestures. On each of the 4 sides of the room, the herms, or pairs of herms, flank a semicircular lunette painting, standing vertically in a sort of alcove defined by the curve of the coving outlining an ogival arch. The 4 paintings are by Louis-Jean-Noël Duvaux, 1818 to 1867, depicted in a self-portrait as a plein air painter. It is not clear to what extent he was sharing the work with Charles Raphael Maréchal. The paintings represent 4 stages of the development of the building of the Louvre, commissioned by kings or queens of France. On the west wall, above the fireplace and mirror, is shown the presentation to François I of the first project of the Louvre. On the south wall, over the central window, is shown the presentation to Catherine de Médicis of the project of the Tuileries. On the east wall, over the central doorway, is shown the presentation to Henri IV of the plans for the Riverside Gallery. On the north wall, over the central archway, should be shown the presentation to Louis XIV of the plan for the Louvre colonnade. However, this painting is kept out of view on a roller so as to demonstrate that this space could also be used as a minstrel's gallery. These 4 paintings show preludes to the event depicted in the main ceiling painting, the presentation to Napoleon III of the new Louvre, one of his many glories. The pedestals of the herms have ivory-coloured bases, resting on the main cornice. These bases have a thin gilded cornice at the top. A similar base is corner-shaped in each corner of the room. On each of these, a pair of cherubs cavorts, each one holding aloft in one hand a gilded laurel wreath. Above these cherubs, a gilded panoply, including laurel branches, rises, crowned at each corner of the painted ceiling by the top of a circular tent, or perhaps an oriental sunshade. In the southwestern corner, the panoply consists of a gilded oval medallion portrait, and above the laurel branches, a palette and paint-brushes are what appear to be sheltered by the tent. In the northwestern corner, an Ionic capital is part of the design. In the southeastern corner is a gilded torso. It is seen more clearly in Baldus' photograph of the Tranchant model that the torso is that of the Belvedere Apollo. There is also a carved bas-relief, and the torso is framed by branches of laurel and oak. In the northeastern corner is a lyre. Painting, architecture, sculpture, and music are the 4 themes of these trophies. Between the bases of the herm's pedestals and the base supporting the corner cherubs, there is, at both ends of each wall, a further ivory-coloured base, shaped with curves at the bottom, decorated with gilding, and topped by a broken pediment, gilded, at the centre of which is a gilded mask, forming the bottom of the circular frame of a painting. There are 8 of these paintings, simulating agate cameo representations of the geniuses of the arts. The Grand Salon is furnished with gilt tables and chairs, as well as by red upholstered chairs and armchairs, and notably the central circular sofa and the indiscret 3-seaters.